everyone. This is our first episode of Couch Conversations. I am Laura Jansen, CEO of Phytoceutics and Integrative Health Coach. Today we have Bernie with us. Bernie is the Phytoceutics head trainer, and we are going to be chatting about liposomal and FenuMAT technology.
Thanks, Laura.
So Bernie, what are the challenges in traditional supplement delivery systems, and how do we overcome this?
Well, firstly, to explain what is a traditional delivery system. So that's if we're having a tablet or a capsule and they've maybe powdered the nutrient and put it in a capsule. That's going to be our traditional delivery system. One of the major challenges in that is that the GI tract is predominantly aqueous, water-based. So if we're having a nutrient that's not water-based, it might be hard for the body to take up that nutrient. Secondly, the GI tract is very harsh. We've got lots of enzymes and acids. Even the probiotics in our gut can influence how we are absorbing the nutrients. So they've also found when we're absorbing a traditional supplement or traditional delivery method, it's got to go from the stomach to the intestines to the blood and then the liver, where it may get processed and metabolized, and only then it can go onto the cells. So that's also a challenge. And we've also found traditional delivery systems need active transport molecules to get those nutrients across the cell membrane. The active transport membranes need energy to do that. And if we don't have enough capacity of those active transport membranes, we're going to have an increased issue with absorbing.
Wow, so that's quite a lot. So essentially you need a good digestive system, and then you have to overcome all the acid and enzymes in your digestive system. Then you need a transporter to get that into the cells. And what was the last point?
It's aqueous.
It's aqueous
as well. So sometimes the nutrients don't work well in water-based. So we need to find a way to get them to absorb well because they're water-based.
Okay, so how do we overcome this, and what are liposomes?
So liposome is a way that we can overcome these factors I've just mentioned, because a liposome has the benefits that it's water-loving and fat-loving. A liposome is a very, very small bubble, almost, if I can put it that way. The word liposome comes from the Greek lipo meaning fat and soma meaning body, so it's like a fatty body. They're also very, very small, like nano-sized, and they say between 30 to 100 nanometers. Because they're very small, they can move very easily across the cell membrane into the blood or the tissue or the cells that they need to be. Also, the liposomes arrange themselves in a lipid bilayer where they resemble our cell membranes in the body themselves. They don't need to be absorbed like the traditional nutrients because of that reason, that they have this much easier uptake by the body. They're transported easier by the body.
Okay, so this fatty layer means that it doesn't matter if it's water-soluble or fat-soluble, and it's very small, so it can be transported easily through the cell membrane. And because of this phospholipid bilayer, it's recognized by the cell.
Yes.
Okay, Bernie, let's get technical. I'm going to ask you to rephrase this science in a non-scientific way for the audience to best understand.
So liposomes also act as a carrier. One of the challenges we spoke about earlier is the nutrient will need to be transported through that harsh environment, and the liposome can do that because it's protecting the nutrient from those harsh enzymes and acids, but also it's a carrier in terms of protecting the nutrient from irritating the gut. So that's also a benefit of the liposome. The liposome is made up of phospholipids, and specifically one of the best forms of phospholipid they find that works well is phosphatidylcholine. They found that when phospholipids are put into water, they naturally arrange themselves in a certain way, to form this lipid bilayer. It's got a head, so think of a matchstick, but the matchstick has got a much bigger swollen head, and then the tail of the matchstick has been split in half and it's shortened. And that's one phospholipid. So when the phospholipid is in water, they naturally arrange themselves with two heads on either side and the tails together facing each other. Then imagine a long row of those with the heads on the outside and the tails on the inside, and the long row sort of bends and then meets itself in the middle to create a bubble.
It's like a sandwich.
Yes, in a bubble. A lot of people show pictures of a liposome where you just see the lipid bilayer, but it's actually a complete circle. So that lipid bilayer is what's encapsulating the nutrient that it's being transported and carried through the body.
Okay, so it's almost like a protective vehicle or a tank that transports these vitamins, minerals, botanicals through the digestive system and then takes it into the cells where it releases it and it can do good.
Yes, exactly. Also, then there's a lot of detail on how it gets absorbed, so that also gets quite technical. And people aren't really quite sure exactly how the liposomes are absorbed. So there's a few potential mechanisms. One is the M cells, which are in the lining of the gut. The M cells kind of engulf substances, so they don't need those active transport mechanisms we spoke about. Or sometimes the contents of the liposome actually just joins the cell membrane or fuses with the cell membrane to release its contents directly into the cell. And that's a benefit that we don't have to now wait for that transport molecule to take the nutrient across. Mm-hmm. It's kind of going there directly.
Super interesting, but as you know, at Phytoceutics, everything we do is backed by trials and clinical studies. So, what's the science behind this, and is there scientific backing?
Yes. Liposomes have been around since the 1960s when they first started formulating. So since then, there have been more than 50,000 published clinical trials on liposomes, and there's more research being done all the time. So it's a very interesting niche market that people are looking into because of the great potential that liposomes have.
So then why, if it's been around since the 1960s, are not all supplements formulated with liposomal technology?
The problem with liposomes is when they first created them in the 1960s, they weren't very stable. It was hard for them to find the right substance to use to produce the liposomes. They weren't easy to produce. We needed very expensive equipment, and they were very large. So the substance wasn't holding itself. The product wasn't actually getting into the cell. So there was a lot of unknowns back then. So since then, they've got new technology, new processes, and equipment to do these things. It also is quite technical how they produce the liposome, so we won't go into too much detail. But they found more and more ways to actually develop the liposomes that they are easier to produce, cheaper to produce, because cost can be a factor also in liposomal production. But with more research that's coming out in newer technologies, they're finding liposomes are being more and more accepted in pharmacy and nutritional supplementation. Even food and cosmetics are using liposomes now.
So do all vitamins, minerals, and botanicals need to be in a liposomal format to be effective?
Some more than others. Let's say, for example, vitamin C. Vitamin C can be very irritating in the gut itself. If I'm having just ascorbic acid, it can actually irritate my gut. Some people say it causes heartburn, kidney stones, those kind of things. So certain supplements are more irritating than others. So liposomes are useful in those kind of cases. Also, liposomes enhance absorption of some. So let's say we're taking a milk thistle, for example. Compared to just a milk thistle that's been powdered and put into a capsule, they found when it's got milk thistle in a liposomal form, the absorption is much better. The body recognizes it can use it more effectively. And liposomes tend to keep that nutrient around for longer.
So you've got this liposomal fatty layer around the vitamin, mineral, or botanicals. Yes. Does this fatty layer also have a health benefit in addition to the molecule you're actually wanting to absorb?
Yes, exactly. So like we said, phospholipids, but particularly the phosphatidylcholine is one of those phospholipids that they found works really well in a liposome. So they found the phospholipids themselves get incorporated into the cell membrane. We can get damages to our cell membrane, let's say from oxidation, free radicals, which may be contributed by pollution or even everyday aging or immune system. So these cell membranes can be damaged, and the phospholipids that are in the liposomes can actually get incorporated into the cell membranes themselves when they need extra repair.
Amazing. It's double benefit.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've now spoken about liposomal, but there are other technologies that are similar to liposomal in that they enhance bioavailability and efficacy and absorption, but they're not liposomal. Yes. So one of these that Phytoceutics uses is called FenuMAT Technology. Can you give us a brief scientific, non-scientific overview of FenuMAT technology?
So FenuMAT uses fenugreek seeds, a prebiotic fiber from the fenugreek seeds. It's called galactomannan. And that actually creates a gel scaffold for the nutrient to sit in. So it holds and supports the nutrient. That nutrient is again protected from the harsh environment we spoke about in the beginning. So kind of imagine a scaffolding, and your nutrient is inside the scaffolding. In the aqueous environment in the gut, that nutrient expands and retains water. It enhances the absorption of the nutrient again, similar to a liposome, but in a different way, and keeps it there. The fiber itself slows down the absorption of that nutrient. Because it's a fiber, things get slowed down when we have more fiber in our system, attracting the water. So it's helping the absorption of the nutrient by trapping it, that it's not damaged by the enzymes, but also helping the absorption, the uptake, the bioavailability.
Okay, so why does this absorption process need to be slowed down? Why does it have to be slower?
Sometimes when we have a nutrient and it's absorbed by our body and it goes too quickly into the bloodstream, it gets eliminated through the kidneys or the liver. So by slowing it down in a fiber base, it's going to help that nutrient be around for longer, that the body can extract those nutrients from it.
So pros and cons of FenuMAT and liposomal?
I think there are benefits to each. So I can't say one's better than the other necessarily. They've also found certain nutrients work better with a FenuMAT base and some nutrients work better with a liposome. So I think you also need to see what's out there in the market, find a reputable manufacturer, a good brand that you trust, and then know that you're going to get good results from that brand.
Good point. Manufacturer and brand is key. One to be trusted, right?
Especially.
So in terms of like technologies used, there's obviously companies that are more reputable and trusted when it comes to this liposomal technology. Same with the FenuMAT technology. I think as anyone knows, companies that develop these technologies put a lot of money, time, and R&D into it, and then they tend to patent their technologies in order to protect it from the mass market and make sure that they can pay off this R&D. So, we obviously find the best ingredients with the best technology from around the world. Can you talk a little about the liposomal technology we use and then the FenuMAT technology we use?
Sure. Yes, Phytoceutics uses actually the cell-gate technology. They're a leading US manufacturer, and they've had 20 years plus in research and development of the liposomes. So they ensure the ingredients are well absorbed that they're using, and they ensure safety and efficacy of their supplements.
Okay. And then the FenuMAT?
FenuMAT is from AK, one of the leading nutraceutical developers. So they have done also extensive research into the FenuMAT technology using these fenugreek seeds.
Okay, and the fenugreek seeds and this gel matrix mix is 100% natural, which is obviously one of their unique selling propositions.
It's also a water-based process and eco-friendly. There's no heat, there's no pressure, there's no chemicals or additives added in their processing as well.
Amazing. Okay, so we're totally blowing our trumpet at the moment. Are there any drawbacks to liposomes or FenuMAT technology?
They say in some rare cases people may have allergic reactions to the ingredients used, for example, the phospholipids that they use. But that's very rare because, like I said earlier, we have those phospholipids in our body. So a reaction to the phospholipids is very, very small. There may also be some digestive disturbances, but again, the liposome is protecting it, the FenuMAT is protecting the nutrient. So we shouldn't have reactions in that. Another factor people say is cost. Liposome, FenuMAT, is it pricey? So there is some cost involved because it is a very up-to-date, newest technology, but they're finding that you actually need less of the supplement because the absorption's so good. Mm-hmm. So you can take less of the nutrient.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it probably works out more affordable and cost-effective because you're taking less.
Yes. So people may look at the price and go, oh, but that's more expensive than that range. But if you realize the absorption's so great, you're actually getting more for less.
And that's probably a key point as well, because in a lot of liposomal or FenuMAT products, you'll see the actual active ingredient having a lower amount.
Exactly.
And that's because you need less in order to get the same amount because your body's absorbing most of it and not excreting a lot of it.
So very good uptake by the cells. It's lasting longer in the body as well.
So everything we've spoken about today is about bioavailability. Is there anything or any products in the Phyto portfolio that really stand out?
Two that definitely stand out for me are the Reversitrol and the Quercetin with pomegranate. Both of those are using the FenuMAT technology. And resveratrol and quercetin itself have a very poor bioavailability, poor solubility in the body. So by using that FenuMAT technology, it's helping the compatibility, the bioavailability, and solubility of the supplement. They say, I think it's in the quercetin, it increases absorption by up to 60 times. Wow. So it's a really good uptake. The resveratrol as well, ours is called Reversitrol. Reversitrol has also very good translation into the actual absorption of the resveratrol. So you're getting maybe less on the label, but your cells are going to get the uptake.
And then in the liposomal portfolio?
Our vitamin C, the Biomax vitamin C, I think is a great one. The liposome, like we said earlier, vitamin C can irritate the stomach, so having in a liposome, great absorption. The liposomal milk thistle is also great, and we have the liposomal glutathione. Glutathione also is very hard for the body to absorb sometimes, so we need the right form, the reduced form of glutathione, and having it in a liposome also helps it get into the cells and have its antioxidant, anti-aging, or healthy aging benefits.
And then there's the vitamin B as well. That's
the B
liposomal.
complex, that's right.
Okay.
So the benefits of the B complex being liposomal is that B vitamins are usually water soluble. So we take a B complex, it flushes out very quickly out the body. We need to replace them all the time. So by having a liposome, it's helping the absorption, but also keeping that B vitamin available for longer in the body. And the B vitamins also, many in their active form, so we get good uptake. They don't need to first get conjugated in the liver to be active, they're in the active form. So good energy support, nervous system support, and then staying around longer in the body.
Thank you, everyone. This wraps up our first couch conversation. Thank you, Bernie.
Thanks, Laura.
If there are any conversations you'd like us to cover, any topics, please let us know. Also hit the like button and follow us so that you know when we have our next conversation. And that's a wrap.
Thanks, Laura.